Welcome back. In this lecture, we will explore how to work with Jupyter Lab. To launch Jupyter Lab, we will open the command prompt and then type Jupyter-lab. This will open Jupyter Lab. The sidebar on the left have some tabs. This is the file browser. The file browser can enable us to create new folder, upload contents, refresh contents, and create a new launcher. I'll create a new folder and call it notebooks. And then I'll navigate inside the folder and I'll click on Python 3 notebook. This had created our first notebook. To change the notebook name, I'll right click on the notebook name in here and I'll choose rename notebook. I'll name it my first notebook. Okay. Inside the notebook, you will find a cell. One cell created by default, and this is a code cell. Cells are code, markdown, or raw. Code will contain the Python code that we will type. Markdown will contain some illustrative elements, links, pictures, heading, lists, and so on. To create a heading, for example, we will change this cell to a markdown by clicking markdown, and then you have to type $1 or hash for heading 1, for example, $$ for heading 2, etc. To execute this cell, I mean to render it to the browser, you can use the play button, which will run the selected cell, or you can, if you double click on the cell, it will return to the edit mode. Or you can click on Alt Enter, which will execute the cell, create a new cell, and move the cursor to the new cell. Or you can click on Control Enter, which will execute the cell, but the cursor will remain on the current cell. Or you can click on Shift Enter, which will execute the cell, and the cursor will move to the next cell. Okay, we'll create some more markdown. I'll change this cell to a markdown by clicking M on the keyboard. Let's center some contents. To center a content, we can use less than symbol and type center, and greater than symbol. This is similar to HTML code. And type the text that you want to center. Okay, we can combine heading with center text. I'll change again this cell to a markdown. To change the cell to a markdown, I have to be on the command mode. This is the command mode. If I want to change to edit mode, I have to click either in the cell or press enter while I have a cell selected. To exit from the command mode, I have to press escape key. Okay, to change this cell to a markdown, I'll click on M on the keyboard. I'll have heading 1 in here, and I'll center the contents. We can also add italic and bold contents. I'll exit the cell edit mode. I'll change it to markdown, and then I'll add underscore italics. I'll change this one and I'll add 2 asterisk for bold. Okay, one of the nice features of notebooks is that you can include images. So let's find some images. I'll search for Python logo and I'll choose this one for example. Okay, I'll right click on it and copy image address. In this cell, I'll change it to Markdown and I have 2 options. I'll show you both. We will type exclamation mark, then we will open square bracket, we will type image, I'll close the square bracket and then open parentheses, Control V to paste, and here we go. The other option is similar to HTML code, so I can open less than sign, type image, src for image source, and then Control V to paste. Okay, to add a link, I'll change the cell to Markdown. I'll open square brackets and type, for example, Google, and then I'll open parentheses. Okay, this had added a link in the notebook. Okay, enough with the Markdown. If you want a complete Markdown reference, you will find it in the help section in here. Once you open it, you will find everything that you need to know about Markdown in here. Okay, now we have the code cells. Before we use the code cells, let's manage some of this content. To delete a cell, you can either cut it, click DD on the keyboard, or you can use the edit menu that will have all the options that can be done to the cell. I can copy cell. For example, let's copy this cell by clicking C and paste it by clicking V. I'll delete it again. If I want to select multiple cells, I can click Shift. If I want to move it, I can move the cell to be pasted up or down. For example, one of the coolest features of Jupyter Lab is that you can execute operating system commands from within the notebook. For example, in Windows, if you want to list the files in the current folder, you have a command line that is called dir. If you want to execute an operating system command, you have to type an exclamation mark and type the command. For example, this will list all the files in this folder, which is notebook. Okay, we can use this to install Python packages. Do you recall how did we install Jupyter Lab? Okay, we will use the same command to install a package called Google Text-to-Speech. We can execute it directly from within Jupyter Lab. It will take a couple of seconds. based on your internet connection. And okay, this is great. It has successfully installed the package. And of course, the main reason for using Jupyter Lab is to enter Python commands. So the first thing we will do is to print a welcome message on the screen. To do this, we'll use a function called print. And then we will enter the message that we want to print. To execute it, as we have done previously, I click Control Enter, but print as a function, we will see it in details in the next few lessons, but I need to know what should I type in here. Are there any other parameters? So to get this, I'll type print and then exclamation mark, click enter. This will give me the help for the print function. Okay, before we finish this lecture, I'll show you the shortcuts that we have been using. This is Shift Enter, which will run the selected cell. The Alt Enter will run the selected cell and insert below, and Control Enter, it will run the selected cell and do not advance. Interrupt the kernel means that you will stop it from running. We will see this later in this course. You can restart the kernel. You can restart the kernel and clear all output, or you can restart the kernel and run all the cells before the active one, or you can restart the kernel and run all cells. Let's try this one. Restart. Okay, great. We have restarted the kernel and ran all cells. I can shut down the kernel. I can shut down all kernels. There is a Dart theme if you prefer this one. I prefer actually the light theme. By the way, it's autosave because there is an option here for auto-saving the document, but to make sure we still can save. One final thing, you can click on Help, Launch Classic Notebook, and this is the old Jupyter Notebook. This is called Jupyter Lab. This is called Jupyter Notebook. Here you will find the folders. This is the notebooks that we have created. You can do the same thing, by the way, but this is the old interface for Jupyter Notebook. Okay, thank you for watching. Join me in the next lecture to begin exploring Python.